I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Wednesday, May the 5th, Cinco de Mayo. Brought to you in part by Vitalix. Increased feed efficiency, decreased feed costs, improved conception rates, increased average daily gain, and increased weaning weights. Get the blue tub. Visit Vitalix.com. I've just about run out of superlatives for this market to tell you what kind of a situation we're in. But as a title for this particular visit, Bloodbath is the only one that I could really think of. And you think, oh my gosh, surely it's not that bad. Yes, it's that bad. And you think, are guys really losing that much money on the cattle right now? It depends. If you are selling backgrounded yearlings, feeder cattle, yes, you're losing your ass big time. If you're selling fat cattle, it depends on how you got them bought. But I actually talked to a friend of mine recently that closed out some cattle and they made $23 a head. He thought he'd hit an absolute home run. But a lot of the cattle are losing money. And the problem of it is, this is the point in time where they were supposed to have an opportunity to make some money. And not being able to make any money. When these cattle were put on feed, it appeared that they were going to, make maybe a couple $100 a head, some of them. Of course, guys have to hedge, and then that limits your gains there on the top side. But it just, when you never allow them to have their head up, the packers continue to keep their foot on the head of every cattle producer, backgrounder, and feeder. And when they never let them up for air, finally they go down. So, we've seen feeders and producers leaking equity from their operation for years and years and years, maybe from when they had it handed down to them, and from generations back. But you continue to leak equity year after year after year. This may do it. Talked to several people around today. I don't know that I've ever gotten any more texts or messages from different people that watch this program regularly. They're all scared to death, including one of my main contacts there that depends on small producers. He said this may be it for them. Tell you what, it's getting to the point where, and a lot of the guys don't really pay attention to the equity. They come back, well, couldn't pay off my note again this year, need a little more operating money. And finally they're going to come up there and the bank's going to say, we can't do this anymore. In fact, we're going to foreclose on you. We're going to take the land away from you. I tell you what land's bringing these days, guys, you can't afford to run cattle on it. I've told you that, guys, time and time again. There's no place in these United States that you can run cattle on ground and pay for it by doing it. So now we're getting where we're having to get used to these cheese checks from the government. And in fact, a lot of operations wouldn't have made it this year if not for the CFAP money and the free cheese. And but we can't depend on that year after year. That's why you don't feed the bears when you're doing the drive-through zoo thing, because the bears get to depending on it, and then they can't fend for themselves. And that's where your cattle people are getting ready to be now. And who knows if we're going to have anything like CFAP going down the road to bail everybody out. But a lot of the guys took the CFAP money and bought more cattle to turn out, or bought more backgrounding type cattle. They bought, they reinvested that money. That's the only thing they know to do to try to heal up. But it just continues to get worse. We're looking at, and we crossed it on Tuesday, box beef cutout values on choice over $300 per hundred, so over $3 a pound now. We've never seen that during typical times. Now, during the gouging and the Black Swan event of COVID a year ago, yeah, we did see it jump way up over 450 there. But under normal situations, and we're not in a Black Swan right now, but it's just how dire the straits are, over $3 a pound for choice box beef cutout values. So you remember when fat cattle hit their all-time record high in 2014. The highest fat cattle ever were live basis was 172. In comparison, you look at box beef cutout values that corresponded with that 172 Choice boxes were $257.13 in November of 2014. That's the highest they ever got under normal conditions. Now we're at 301, and they're buying cattle at 118 instead of 172. That's how much money is left on the table. You look at your futures market, it's a commodity. Live cattle are a commodity. Fat cattle are, every ag commodity, everything that costs money, period, is getting higher during this inflation deal where they keep printing money and throwing it at people. You can't get anybody to come to work for you. I hear every corner of this country, everybody I talk to, whether they're trying to run a sale barn, whether they're looking for farm help, whether they're looking for people to help, they're building a house and they got to find people to work for the subcontractors. You can't find anybody to work. We're creating a lazy ass country where people sit on their ass and make more money than they can going to work. And you can't blame them. They boosted up these unemployment benefits. You don't even have to pretend like you're looking for a job anymore. They're just handing out free money everywhere you turn. They're putting more restrictions on cigarettes and chewing tobacco, but you can walk down to your local pot shop and buy all you want. I guess it's not hazardous to your health. And you guys, some of you guys have differing views on pot, but I'll tell you one thing it does. I've watched it a million times. It kills motivation. That goes right along with what this country wants to do. Just make a bunch of lazy asses sitting around smoking dope all the time, and then the elites can just run over the rest of us. But this is getting serious, guys. We've got to do something about this. Your June lean hogs are higher than June live cattle. When's the last time you remember that? Now I realize your lean hogs are on a dress basis, but still you've never seen that. Live hogs, which they don't sell any of them live, but if we did have live hogs back before your pork industry absolutely ruined the hog industry like your beef industry is doing to the cattle right now. Back in the day when you knew what a live hog was worth, it would be worth about 85 cents today. When do you ever remember hogs bringing 85? Bringing $10 more than cows, live basis. Unbelievable. But it's just, it's hard to describe what's going on. I've told you guys that on Monday, they're having a meeting of truce in Phoenix, Arizona. We're not seeing any media about it at all. Maybe they didn't want anybody to know, but I've got too many friends in the industry not to know what's going on. And that's why people come to this visit to hear what's going on. But Livestock Marketing Association, they're kind of coming from a different direction, but pretty much everybody's friend in the cattle industry. They had the idea, I believe it was Larry Schnell, the president, to bring all our big groups together with no staff. That's the key thing, no staff. So we don't have carnival barkers or suits coming in there with hats off the rack, that they've worn 30 minutes total in the 5 years that they've had it, coming in there and telling everybody what to do. No, these are the leaders within the organization that have been elected into leadership positions. So these guys that can get something done. So we've got NCBA, we've got RCAF, we've got U.S. Cattlemen's Association. There's other groups that I found out are also been invited. American Farm Bureau Federation. Now they pack some punch. They got a lot of pull, especially in the southeast. Whatever they say goes in the southeast, guys. How about National Farmers Union? Get up in the northern plains, they pull a lot of weight. The problem is all of the other four besides, or five if you include LMA, they're all wondering if they are going to be able to convince NCBA to do something. They've said they got this 75% of a robust market deal. We've already hit one major trigger. We've probably already hit enough minor triggers to pull another major trigger within this quarter. At that point, if they do what they said they're going to do, they're going to get behind one of these regulatory solutions. So we've got 5014, we've got Deb Fisher's Cattle Market Transparency Act. Let's get behind one of them, or let's make a hybrid of them. Let's get in there and do something, and let's quit lollygagging while everybody goes broke. This is a serious, serious deal, and I tell you what, it's going to take a lot of people out. And like I said a while ago about your property values, we've got some of this farm ground, especially in the last few months as we've seen grain prices going up and all the free money that the grain farmers are getting. $20,000 an acre isn't out of line for some good bottom ground through the corn belt there. But the problem is where a lot of our cattle run are on the edge as well. That's where people are wanting to develop. Horse people, those are people making a lot of money. You know, try to buy a good using horse or a roping horse or a horse to go show or something like that. Those people got money and they want a 50, 60 acre tract somewhere that have been running cattle on. Guys can't afford to keep cattle on them anymore. But you can afford a $200,000 rig if you're making horses that people can go out and win on. And we've got development just growing and growing everywhere. And then we got people wanting to buy land and take it out of production, whether it be grain production or animal agriculture production. We're in dire straits, guys. It's as bad as it's ever been. So if you guys are getting tired of footing a bill for the Packers advertising campaign, go to checkoffvote.com. That's where we're trying to assemble signatures to see what we want to do with the checkoff program. Now, I don't know very many people, and I'm not one of them either, that doesn't think we need some kind of a checkoff promotion deal. But we need to change up the way it's being done right now. And the only way we can do that is get a referendum on it, take a look at it, and then decide what we want to do. The only way we can get that is to get enough signatures on this checkoffvote.com. If you've owned, sold, or bought one head over the last year or two, you're eligible. So get on there and do it. How about your board on Tuesday? June live cattle futures down 227 at 113.02. August down 172 at 116.62. Go out front from there down a nickel to down 120. Why are live cattle lower when beef is higher and it's more expensive to make them? The only reason is because nobody believes that your fat cattle sellers can get more money for cattle. They're all hedged up. We got a spot June now at 113. We're getting charity bids of 118 out there. Guys are jumping at them because they don't think they can get any more. And then it's also their basis jumping too. So if they're hedged up, that 118 add $5 to that. That's more than they probably could have ever gotten in the rally that we had that we tripped up on. And it's just it's pitiful. The situation we're in right now. Look at your feeder cattle. May feeder cattle down $3.30. My goodness, 129.75. Of course, corn was up 20 cents. I mean, that's natural. We understand why feeder cattle's down so hard. Why can't we hold fat cattle together when box beef prices are going through the roof? August feeder cattle down 362. 143.17, going out from there, and they're down 277 to 357. Your fall contracts on cattle coming off grass are no longer 150. You remember just a few weeks ago they were up in the 160s. I hope you guys, for the most part, got a hold of them and got a hedge on those. I truly hope as many of you did as heard my voice, but fall contracts are no longer 150. But I still think it's a good idea to go ahead and hook up to one of them. If this corn doesn't let up, these feeder cattle are going to go to nothing. They got no other place to go. Let's talk about your fat cattle trade. Charity bids. We keep hearing about charity bids. When's the last time we heard about charity bids? It was during the worst of the gouging, about a year ago, or maybe a little over, when your packers were absolutely gouging consumers. Housewives were fighting over a pound of hamburger. They had worked your choice box beef cutout values up over $4.50. I think they got into $4.70s, and they weren't giving any more for fat cattle. Well, they finally started feeling a little bit guilty, and they started at least maintaining a steady market. That's kind of where we're at again, except it's a little bit lower, and they're trading on a Monday and Tuesday, and guys can't wait to take it. Iowa, 14,500 head on Tuesday, 117 to mostly 119. Dress sales, 187 to 191. Nebraska, 13,900 head on Tuesday. We've sold the bulk of the cattle for the week already, guys. 118 was the live price. Dress sales, 187 to 192. Kansas, only 500 head at 119. Still got a lot of sales to do in Kansas and Texas. Texas, 1,700 from 117.50 to 119. My friends at Consolidated Beef Producers had their cash pool and had less than 400 head on there. The top price that they ended up taking on the cattle was 186 picked up per FOB. So most of the time when you sell dressed, you deliver the cattle, and the 186 FOB turned out to be the best price that they could get for their customers on the cash pool, and so that was what the cash pool is. They also sold some cattle at 119 in the Southern Plains from CBP, and that would have been the absolute top of the market. How about Colorado, 600 head at 118 on Tuesday? You're slaughtered, not even keeping up with last week, because we've got several interruptions there. You'd think when these packers are making $850 a head on an average carcass that they'd really want to go. What's the hurry? You know, it's like the young bull and the old bull. You know, why do we have to run down there? 235,000 through Tuesday, 3,000 less than last week, 72,000 more than the same week a year ago when couldn't get workers to come into the plant due to COVID. Box beef cutout values, I touched on it earlier. Choice cuts all-time record high, 301.22, up 192 for the one-day trading session. Select 283.91, up 12 cents. Fats could well be over 190 live, and your packers would be washing. If we were getting 190 live, we're getting 117 to 119. What else is going on? What about Bieber Red Angus? Now, their sales for spring are over, but they have semen available from some of the top Red Angus sires in the entire business. So if you're interested in any of this for your AI breeding, go to BieberRedAngus.com. You can also see information on there about Bieber Fever Red Angus sales. Going to be coming up in the future and going forward into later this year. You can also set up an appointment to come visit the ranch if you guys are out traveling this summer and you think it'd be interesting to check that out. Go to BieberRedAngus.com. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market, your real-time index on DV auction. Late in the day on Tuesday, 132.67, down 98 cents. It's been down, just day after day after day, down pretty severely there on Tuesday. So let's look at your big sales on Tuesday. Ozarks Regional Stockyard, West Plains, Missouri. You had heavy rains in that area all morning, and their cattle usually come in that morning, so it kind of limited their receipts to about 1,900 head in the barn. They had a little over 850 on their video, and I tell you what, they're getting along really good with that in-house video. But in the sale ring, steer and heifer calves selling steady to $3 lower. Didn't have a lot of feeder weights on hand there for comparison. How about Kingsville livestock auction? Kingsville, Missouri. That's just south and east of Kansas City. One of your best sales there in the whole Midwest. 2,100 head there, steady to $5 lower. Did have one really good stick out consignment there. Steve Varner had 4 loads of steers in there. Averaged 900 pounds, They sold from 127 to 128.85. How about Unionville Livestock Market? Another Missouri market, but I tell you what, Missouri sells cattle all year round. It's a sale barn state. It's not a direct trade state, so that's why we have so many good quotes out of there. Unionville Livestock Market, Kurt and Heather Spore Leader, 1,500 head there. Compared to 2 weeks ago, my friend Tracy Thompson could only call it sharply lower because that's what it was, and it's a sad situation there. But those Rockin' R steers that I talk about all the time, I mean top of the line, top quality, out of Lucerne, Missouri there. They had 4 loads, averaged 950 pounds, from 122 to 122 and a half. I guarantee you the kind of fancy calves that they buy to make those big yearlings out of, that wouldn't have worked too good. But you know, they'll keep digging. But tell you what, you got to pay people for the product, or eventually they won't be able to produce them anymore. How about Beaver County Stockyards, Beaver, Oklahoma? Now I tell you what, that was kind of a stick out place. Look at these loads of 9 weights they sold through the ring in Beaver, Oklahoma, up there in the Oklahoma Panhandle. They bring from 125 to 128.50. And that was one of our top quotes around. But the best quote that I saw anywhere on Tuesday, and your Zach Tran top quote for the day, come out of Winter Livestock in Riverton, Wyoming, 78 head, 768 pound steers, bring 144.50. And that's your feeder flash for Wednesday.